Oh, awesome. Two people are watching. What's up, you guys? Chet Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, and this is my second time streaming in a very long time. Anyway, since I've really cut back on my content, I've decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to live stream a little bit more. Um, and by the way, I mean, as people are coming through, looks like we're up to about 8 people. Well, then it dropped down to 4 people. I'll wait a few seconds for people to come in, and I want to ask you all what you all thought about my most recent video. Um, but I will give it about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and anyway, like I said, I mean, I'm just curious to hear people's opinions, and I want to share you all like what's I don't know. I guess I just want to see what all is going on with everyone tonight, and probably another thing too. What I would like to do in future streams, maybe possibly do like a topic and talk about it. I don't know. In the comments, let me know, or it would be the live feed. But oh, excuse me. So far, it looks like one person has commented, Satan, Satan. Anyway, I anyway for Josh, what's up? Anyway, looks like people more and more people are coming through. Awesome. But anyway, I think I'll give it one more minute. And like I said, I just want to ask you all a few things, and I want to talk about a few things tonight. I know it's just a part of the process to really, as I know my channel, I don't know, I want to take a different approach than what I have been doing. But anyway, I'll talk about that a little bit more. We will give it about 20 more seconds. Hanging out in McMinn County. Sitting here at home. But yeah, as people are coming through, looks like we got about 4 people coming through, and now looks like we got about 6 people in. But anyway, guys, since there's a group of people here, how many people have seen my most recent video of the old farmhouse? Um, Anyway, it was a home built in 1910, and from the outside, a lot of people mistaken it to be a mansion. Really, it's not. It's just a really big house that unfortunately is going to get torn down, probably about the next few months or so. But I mean, that's one reason why I made that that video. Well, actually, I made it at the beginning of the year because I thought that when I first heard about it, it was they were just going to go and do it. But anyway, no, that hasn't happened yet. But anyway, but the video that I have coming out on Saturday, it I mean, I know a few people have done it. But I made a video on some of the serpent handling church history from the East Tennessee area. One of the things that I found out, and I did not know this until probably maybe like a week or two ago, I did not know that snake handling, or at least snake handling in the Appalachians, started near Chattanooga, Tennessee. I had no clue that that's where it started. But I finished editing like the outside stuff today, and now I'm going to write up my script, and I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, But, like I said, for those who have seen it, like, what did you all think about the edits? 'Cause that's, like I said, I want to, uh, but at least what I saw in the analytics, people were dropping chip pretty early into the video, and that's something that I do wanna fix, or at least in some way or another. But, anyway, gosh, it has been an interesting week too. Actually, my birthday is coming up not long from now. That, I'll be 34 years old, and I will have been on YouTube for before, gosh, how many years have I been on YouTube? Oh yeah, close to 7 years. I really started picking up in 2019, and, well, I mean, I was a part of it, or part of the whole YouTube platform before then when I was a part of Adventures United, but, 2 different channels, but I guess I've been here since 2017. But let me see. Do you know if snake handling started before the Church of God came in? Actually, that is an interesting story. Um, how snake handling started, it was started by a man named George Went Hensley, and how he actually, but yes, there was snake handling before the Church of God. But George Went Hensley, how he got involved with the practice is, it was Big Stone Gap in the 1890s. This was in Virginia, but there was an old lady that, came to the pulpit, the podium. She brought out a snake, and I believe she talked about Mark chapter 19. Anyway, it was a verse from the Gospel of Mark. But yes, before, there was snake handling before the Church of God, and actually how it got its tie with the Church of God is, I can't remember his first name, but Tomlinson, the founder of the Church of God, George Wentz Hensley, he did a demonstration before, the church, or before the bishop and founder of the Church of God. And, anyway, that's how I got his license. But over time, I mean, the Church of God has, at least from what I understand, has kind of moved away from snake handling, which is kind of obvious because, I mean, it's just like if you get bit by a timber rattlesnake, that's not too good. But, I mean, but if it's, I don't know, I digress. But, it's gonna seem weird when it's gone. That's what I say. It's like, yes, Bishop Tomlinson. But, that's what I say about that house. It's just like all those years, people, like, at least from my hometown, have driven by it, passed by it, they've seen it, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, the whole story of the foundation, I mean, I can't talk. I mean, that's what, the records say, is that I wanna say it was the tornado of 2011. Because if you're from Cleveland, you know that there were 2 major tornadoes that happened between 2011 and 2012. Now, the one in 2012 was n not as, oh, excuse me, destructive, but, okay. Alright. Thank you, Gwen, for clarifying me on that. Because, like I said, I mean, I know that, gosh, well, George Went Hensley did do a demonstration before him, but that was like, I wanna say back in 1902, 1908. I wanna say it was around that time, but, well, thank you, Josh. Yes, happy early birthday. Th 34 years old. Um, I'm making it. Yes. Yes, at least trying to. But, anyway, that's how I anyway, I mean, that's I mean, McMinn got hit pretty bad too. I mean, I remember, actually, there's an interesting story with, with the tornadoes that happened um, back in 2011. You see, I want to say it was either April or May of 2011, but I want to say it was either my Uncle Mark or my Uncle David. He was driving to my grandparents' house out near off Dalton Pike, and right as he tells them, right as he got in the house and told them to get down into the basement, that's when the tornado lifted, skipped their neighborhood, and that's when it struck the neighborhood next to him. I think it was Skylar Drive, I think. But but I mean, I think I did a video on that a while back about the devastation that happened during 2011. I mean, it's still seared inside my brain. Because if y'all like the pictures that I still have, it's like it looked like a war zone, like everything. And I want to say some of those have. I mean, gosh, I mean, it took a few years to for at least Bradley County to recover. But oh, I didn't know that, Gwen. I mean, so it was April 27th. I mean, it was like I said, I remember. Now I will say the one in 2012 that happened. I was at Cleveland State Community College when it happened, and that's when we got the call that we had to get in. I forget. I think it was like the English or the English offices, or literary arts English near that Cubby area. And anyway, from what I understand or from what I heard, it did sound like a train as it came in, and right as it passed overhead, those two big trees that used to sit out or near Cleveland State, they were torn down, they were destroyed. But now, and well, from the one in 2011, I do remember when it was at I was living with my mom, my stepdad, my sister. Um, Now that was freaky in itself because it's like we would like listen through the news to see what was going on the radio, and we did come up very briefly from the basement. And I remember like we could hear like the hail just smashing into the house. And I remember I went outside to pick or take a piece of ice. I mean, this was a huge chunk of ice. Like I mean, it was about the size of a golf ball. But those were some weird times. But anyway, gosh. But that's what I remember from what I remember. But anyway, I'm looking forward to ooh, sorry, keeping the light out of. By the way, who all saw that video that I did when I bought the megalodon shark? I mean it. I bought that last year for a haunt season, and I feel like I made a mistake in buying that because I for what I traded to get it. I don't know. It's my white elephant. I'll just say that it's the white elephant in the room, and I'm gonna keep it for as long as I can, just to remind myself don't buy something stupid. I like it though, but see, yes, good one, Glenn. I like that. I remember when the tornado that race. Yep. I mean, I saw some photos of that like when I was doing my research on the farmhouse. There was somebody. I mean, I gave them the credit, but I mean, they had recorded everything that they saw from that area, and gosh, I mean, it's crazy to think like that was that was 15 years ago. I mean, isn't that like so weird? Like for people to it's like time passes by so quickly. I don't know. That's what there was something my mom told me once when it was right after I graduated, and it's like I started realizing that days got faster and faster, and I forgot what my mom said to me, but it's like time does fly by really quick. But yes, Gwen, it is my great. I don't know. You see how I went or what I did, and this is like I said, hindsight's 2020. Um, for those who have followed my channel for a very long time, I still have 3 channels. One of them is still on hiatus. I've done a couple of things with What the Chet, but what I traded, it was an SIR Charizard from Obsidian Flames. It had gotten a 10, grade 10. And when I sold it, it was only like I thought it was only worth 120 bucks, but around that time it had shot up to 240. Now it's a $500 card. It's worth as much as my shark. So, yeah, I've done some I don't know. I can't do anything more stupid. But anyway, that is how that goes. I don't know. And there's some more stuff that I want to do in Cleveland, my hometown. Like I don't know. I've thought about doing some true crime for downtown or not downtown, but in Bradley County. But it's like I've kind of read like on YouTube's new. I don't know. I think it was a few months ago, or maybe still going on. But YouTube's kind of cracked down on true crime stuff. But I mean that's just rumors that I heard. But oh, excuse me. But anyway, as of right now, I'm working on Ghosts and Mysteries of Bradley County Homecoming, which I'm excited for that one. I mean, because that's when I talked about it a little bit on the last stream, but it's like when I wrote Ghosts and Mysteries of Bradley County, that was so hard to find stories for that. But the moment that I got it published, that's when people started talking about it. That's when people started telling me the actual stories. And anyway, I've got my stories ready. It's going to be good. I mean, it's going to be a fun one. But anyway, that's how the the cookie crumbles. There we go. But anyway, you know what, Josh? Yes, I tried Culver's last night, and it was actually pretty good. I had the mushroom Swiss burger. I mean, I don't know. It's like as someone who has spent most of his life in Cleveland, there were those 3 years I lived in Florida. It's like that one day we will get ourselves a Red Lobster, and I mean, I know people that are viewing my channel from far reaches of the world. I know some people watch from as far as Britain, or at least they did, UK. It's like we still have yet to get a Red Lobster. And it's almost a joke at this point here in my hometown. But that is one thing that we have still never gotten is a Red Lobster. And I can only imagine what heck is going to come of it when we do, or if we ever get a Red Lobster. But well, thank you, Miller 4892. I mean, it like Ghosts and Mysteries of the Tennessee State Parks. Like I said, there is just so much, and I'm surprised that there's not. Well, at least from in my research, there's not that many books on the ghosts and mysteries of the Tennessee State Parks. But for those who are watching, correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, it is just. Where was I going with that thought? Oh, and speaking of Culver's, here's my from the other night. but yeah, that's neither here nor there. But gosh. Yeah. Yeah, Gwen. I mean my thing is, I like the Cheddar Bay biscuits. And but I mean I do like the shrimp and other stuff, but It's like, there is one place I've never tried in the Bradley County, Cleveland area, and I pass by it all the time, and I've also DoorDashed to it, but, the Juicy Seafood. Like, the Juicy Seafood looks pretty darn good, but, I don't know, it's just like I keep it's one of those it's kinda like Spoonies. I've never eaten at Spoonies, but I've always wanted to eat there because 'cause I've heard that their Philly cheesesteaks are amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you, Josh. I mean, that's again, that's the thing too. I mean, Tall Betsy and that story here in Bradley County, it's like the top ghost story. But and actually, speaking of some of the stuff that I have found out, like doing my research, I actually found out there was a UFO sighting in Bradley County back in the 70s. I think it was either the late 70s or the early 80s when that happened though. But anyway, she's a good friend of mine. But that's gonna be another interesting story to add to the book. Yeah. Yeah, Gwen, I mean, that's what I say too. I mean, it's like if you've ever been to St. Augustine, probably one of the best this is one of the best, like, seafood places I've ever eaten at, period, and that's Osteen's. Osteen's is amazing. And there used to be another one in that area, but I can't remember, but they closed they didn't really close their door. It's like like how like some restaurants when they change a location, it's like the vibe just seems to dry up. I mean, the food's still there, and people still come, but there's just something about the new location that just makes it meh, meh. But anyway, that's what I say about seafood. I guess really does need to be. Although, I mean, what if? Well, I mean, there's always catfish, and well, I mean, crawfish are kind of more related to Louisiana. But anyway, but Gwen, that's kind of like one of the things that I need to probably tap into more to like I said, I'm in the process of rebuilding my channel, or maybe not so much rebuilding, but restructuring it, just because the algorithm seem like they I think it was in August when YouTube changed the algorithm, with the whole AI thing, and it's like those who were kind of like your middle of the road vloggers took a hit pretty much. Um, I mean, I felt that, but let's see. But anyway, where was I going? Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there are some interesting things, especially about the Appalachian Mountains that and there are some things that I mean, like I read. Gosh, where I don't have it with me, but Weird Tennessee, Weird, like the Weird series in general. Those books have really shaped, or what really have shaped, kind of why I like weird history because it's such an interesting topic. One of the things that I wanted to make a video on it some years back, but I wanted to make a video on it some years back, but it's like when I drove all the way up to Cherokee, North Carolina, to Koala Boundary, the eastern band of the Cherokee Nation, they did not have it, and it went back to the Smithsonian. And what I'm talking about is the Bat Creek Stone. Now, when I did my research on that, I found out the island, like the land where the Bat Creek Stone was found, that still exists. That is on an island out in what is now the flooded Tennessee River, or flooded, I think it's the flooded Little Tennessee River. I might be wrong about that. But I mean, I think I have the Weird New Jersey book, but I might have to check. I've got the Weird America book. Speaking of the weird series, this is one that I always kind of wanted to do, even though it hasn't existed because somebody ran into it. But it's down in Middle Georgia, but it's out in Middle Georgia, but it was this big pillar, and I know it involved a pastor. Like I think I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if it's a street pastor, but anyway, he placed a curse on the town, and it's like anyone who touched the pillar, they'd die. Um, and it's like it got like run over some time ago. I think the city still has it, but it's in storage. Like I thought about maybe making a whole video on that, like at least looking at the spot where it once was. But oh, ugh. You know what, Gwen? That's another one that I thought about doing one on the state of Franklin, the state of Franklin. Because I want to say that there's an area up in that region up farther a little bit in East Tennessee that there is a spot that talks about that area. And speaking, maybe I need to go back up to Scott County, but when I did my video of on the Scott County Jail, my friend Miranda, Ghost Biker, there during the Civil War, or at least when the Civil War broke out, Scott County disagreed with both sides, and what they did is they pretty much split off and they created their own nation. But it really wasn't acknowledged, and I want to say that for some time it was just kind of like one of those, it's written on paper, but no one really followed through. And it's like there was some kind of ceremony a while back, but I can't remember. Let's see. Video. Thank you, Miller 4892. Like I said, I want to, like I said, kind of change things up a little bit to make things a little more interesting. But I mean, there are more videos that, like I said, I want to do a little bit of true crime on Bradley County, just because I think it's like the Valentine's Day murders. Like that's one that's kind of an interesting topic. But Jonesboro, let me look that up. Yeah, I mean, it's like your Dave 430. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of noticed that. I don't know what happened. I think maybe it's just like the new algorithm is just so fine tuned that anything like it puts everything in a box from what I've done my research on, or it puts everything like, and if you don't fit like that that box, I guess you could say, or that suggestion, it doesn't really have an idea where it needs to go. But oh, Jonesboro. Okay. Thank you, Gwen. Let me put that in my Google Maps. That way, Jonesboro, town in Tennessee. Okay. Oh, it's only three. Well, okay, that's not too bad. It's only 3 hours from here. Okay, let me go to maps and saved. Okay, so it's on my list. I mean, that's one of the things that I do. It's like if I find something that's really interesting, a place, I like to have it saved on Google Maps. But anyway, oh, you're Dave 3. Okay, so you're from the area. You know some of the stuff about Cleveland and the Bradley County area. Where was I going with that thought? I had a more on. Oh, actually, speaking of videos and stuff and folklore, I will be doing a video on the vampire chair at some point during this year. Like, for those who are from the Bradley County area, you all will know that at least I didn't know this until like last year, or actually 2 years before. But they do a legends and folklore speak, or I guess a night where they tell ghost stories, and that is where I was introduced to the story of the vampire chair. I had, like, again, another one I didn't know. And as the story goes, at least as like I said, this was I forget his first name, but his last name was Truitt. I think it was Franklin Truitt, but Truitt. He they when they were widening the road out in Charleston, they did. Granted, this was like in 1910, 1912, but they found what looked to be a body or a corpse buried face down, and I want to say that there was something shoved in its mouth. I'll have to do my research by the tail of it, but they anyway, the story went that there was like this was like way before this was like 1800s. I don't know if it was after the Trail of Tears or like I said, I don't know if I want to say it was maybe around the 1870s, 1880s when furniture was kind of hard to come by back then. But there was a cabin and a lady. There was a lot of talk that she was a vampire or a witch, either or. And people that went up there, they would sit in this chair, and they could not get out of this chair, but this chair would draw blood. It's a fascinating story. Also, the General Morgan Inn locates a ton of Civil War history as well as really. I didn't know that. I'm going to put that on. Thank you, Gwen. I'm going to put that in. Again, another one that I am going to put down. Greensboro has a ton of stuff. Okay. So anyway, that'll be another one for really. That's huh. It's one of the top. I'm gonna look at what? 1 second, Gwen, and everybody who's watching. Let me put that down. Storytelling competition, Jonesboro, Tennessee. Okay. I have it bookmarked. But anyway, I mean, yeah, that again, it's like another interesting thing, Civil War history wise. It's like during the Civil War, people talk about like what happened in Chattanooga or happened in Knoxville, but I mean, Cleveland saw some of its own Civil War history. But anyway, again, it's another interesting piece of history. Interesting areas. I want to say there is a vlogger I follow. His name's Tampa J. I think he did a video on Andrew Johnson's grave not long ago. But anyway, and I did not know this too. But well, granted, this one's on the list as well. But there is a ghost town not far from Chattanooga, and it's a coal mining ghost town. I didn't know about that, but that's going to be that'll probably be another video. I do want to. There is one video that I am working on. I mean, well, anyway, total brain fart. That's one thing that I am working on. Anyway, oh, I didn't know that, Gwen. I didn't know you shared a birthday. That's pretty darn cool. Oh, excuse me. Ooh. And speaking of seafood and stuff, I actually did make some crawfish last night, or not last night, tonight. And I don't know if I fudged it, but I used paprika, crushed red pepper, Creole seasoning, butter, and it called for brown mustard or brown mustard seeds, but I just used normal mustard, and that was good. I did that a second time. It's just that crawfish don't have that many calories. It's like you have to eat a whole bunch of them to make an actual meal. It's interesting how that works. But to go back to the Civil War, actually, gosh, that's one thing that I never quite understood. It's like, You also have like Gettysburg, even Lookout Mountain, the Chattanooga area. But well, like I wonder why like the Charleston area doesn't tap in to their Civil War history because General Sherman, he came through there on his march to the sea. That's great. Huh. You know what, Gwen? That might be a maybe I'll do that for haunt season since it is haunted. Um, Speaking of haunted stuff, I want to do this maybe sometime over the summer, but there is a it's up in Cumberland Mountain State Park, and it is where was I going with that thought? Cumberland Mountain State Park, and it's called Coon Hollow Cabin. Now, stories go all the way back. Like I want to say, it goes all the way back to the 50s, but there's like no real way to prove it. But the story goes is that a man and his wife had gotten into an altercation, and he well he unalived her. That's the best way I can put it because of YouTube. But they say Coon Hollow Cabin is haunted. You can find the bullet holes in the wall. But when I did my research, that's going to be in my book, by the way. I couldn't really find anything on it, like on the like if because if there was a murder like that in the 50s, I'm pretty sure it would have been circulated in papers. But place. But that is, like I said, that's pretty darn cool, Gwen. A really interesting opportunity. Sorry, I was watching. Oh, well, I don't know. Like I said, it's speaking of ads, that's another thing that I feel maybe since I'm live and those who have or do own my book, like, do you all feel like my ads and for previous books have been kind of longer than they should have? I mean, I kept it like between a minute, little over a minute, but I know in my analytics I've seen like like the moment that you see it, it just dips and then comes back. I don't know. That's I don't know. It just makes me wonder what can I do to build a better experience. And actually, Gwen, when do you want to? Since I know you and D, you all do the discussion. I mean, one of these days we have to do a follow up um, in the studio. Maybe do it for Halloween. So I know when I saw you up in Pigeon Forge of all places, we talked about possibly doing a video. I think it was on my books. I can't quite remember, but okay. But we do need to get in on that. Just because, like I said, I mean, I think what the last time that I was on the discussion, it was 4 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago. But anyway, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that's happened since then. Like I said, maybe we could do it like a Halloween. You got get the word, yeah, and that's I mean that's kind of like the thing with my books. It's like maybe I need to learn a little more bit about business. I did have a few books. Let me see. I had some books at my antique booth at United States Antiques. I haven't put anything back up there. I did have some at Blasted Machines Tech Shop right off APD 40, and I had some at Reddle's Bread and Book, but I never heard if they had sold anything. But this fourth one, just because it's such an interesting topic, it's the Tennessee State Parks. At least I'm like I read it's not that hard to publish through Barnes and Noble. The only issue or the only problem is it getting it in like an actual like physical Barnes and Noble. That's the hard part. But yeah, I mean maybe Gwen, maybe we could do that like near Halloween. I mean, because there's a lot of cool ghosts. Like that's the thing, about Bradley County, it's like, there's usually the big 3 that gets talked about the most. Tall Betsy, the Charleston Monk, and, and Nina Craig Mile in the mausoleum. But, it's like you don't hear about when Ed and Lorraine Warren came to Tennessee, or when they came to Bradley County, or like I said, what I have found, like I want to say, I heard that there was a story. Okay, yeah, Gwen, I'll get we'll get in touch about that. We're like I said, my my brain is a cluster. 1 second, okay, my Wi-Fi is gone in a little out a little bit, but anyway, that would just be an interesting topic in general. But yeah, yeah, Gwen, I'll get back to you on that because, like I said, I think if you did it like around like the Halloween season, for you and D, that would probably be a really good episode. But anyway, but I talked about it in the last video. Now, like right around early March, like the 3rd through the 6th, I will be going on my birthday road trip. I kind of thought about not doing one just because I'm kind of pulling back to see what I can do to make things better because things aren't working right now. Um, but I'm going up to Cave City, Kentucky, and yesterday I like, if you all don't know the Cave City, Kentucky area, they have the wigwams, the wigwam hotels, which I just think is utterly cool. But the thing is, they don't like their first day of operation for this season is March 13th. I'm going March 3rd through the 6th. A couple of weeks before then. It's just why. But I mean, there's still a whole bunch of cool things that is out in Cave City, Kentucky. Like if y'all don't know, that's where that is where Mammoth Cave is, the largest cave system in the entire world. It's either the entire world or the entire US. But that's going to be an interesting one. And I don't know. I might end up going on a cruise, but I don't know anything. That's still kind of up in the air. Don't really, haven't really. Yeah, I mean that's something that may or may not happen. But anyway, again, just some stuff to look forward to in the months that follow. But I do have to. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. Got to get my. Like I said, I mean, it's like that's one thing that I'd like to do is to get my books out there a little bit more. But actually, I am working on coming back with a novel that I finished back. Well, I'll say I finished it back in 2021, but there's still the lady that's helping me proofread it. There are a lot of things that I missed out on, or a lot of things I missed, but that's going to, again, that's just work or progress or work in progress. But yeah, you know, like this is what since I've kind of had this thought. Um, has anyone ever heard of Brad Renfro? I mean, like I found out he was from the Knoxville area. Now, granted, his time in acting was when I was kind of younger, but he was in a lot of good movies, and he is from the Knoxville area. Now, I mean, from what I've seen, he did have a really really sad life. Well, not really sad, but well, tragic, sad and tragic. But I don't know. Maybe that's another video that I might do at some point. I would like. I mean, people are going to call. Some people will kind of call me a little bit nutty for saying this, but I do kind of want to go out to California for about maybe 4 or 5 days. I mean, I've got friends that live out in that area, but then there are those friends of mine who have been out there that have been like, no, you don't. Anyway, I've got friends here who live in California too. So not to down you guys, but that anyway, it's somewhere that I would like to see it at some point in my life. But anyway, actually, does anybody have any good ghost stories of theirs from the Bradley County area? Since I've got a lot of people from this area kind of chiming in. Um, I don't know. There's one story that I do want to add that now granted I don't know if it was I can't remember if it was in the Georgia, North Georgia area, Chattanooga area, or in the Bradley County area, but I'll have to get back to them on where that was exactly. But anyhow. By the way, did anybody like who for those of you guys who follow my second channel, did you all watch that video I did? What I did, granted, again, this is at my booth, United Estates Antiques and Collectibles, but I I bid sniped. This is the one I kept, but it was 7 beaver skulls, museum quality, like the really nice ones, that you can actually put on display or in a case or somewhere, and people don't give you weird looks. But anyway, I bid sniped and I got it for like 7 skulls for like $75. But I don't know, that was kind of like me testing to see how, like, I guess how like the new thumbnail looks. But anyway, it seems that the chat has got, yes, awesome. Miller 498 or 4892. Okay, so you all were the one who bought the beaver skull. Now, I will say, like, I mean, I've got a few more that, I mean, right now, I mean, my booth is just flat out packed. But, I mean, United States Antiques and Collectibles, I like to say that they are at least the closest antique store to the reincarnation of Mora's. I loved Mora's Antiques. Now, that was such an interesting antique store, but, they, Bargie's and that aquarium store, and I want to say, or not really a fishery, but anyway, aquarium place. I guess that would be anyway. They've got some big, gosh, what do you call them? Plecos, plecostomus. The big old armored catfish. But anyway, I miss Morris so much. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, United States, they have an interesting selection. Good guys too. But anyway, you know what? I need to go back I haven't been there in a while, but I need to go back inside of Grit and Grace. I mean, that they've got an interesting. I mean, it's a little more frou frou, stuff. It's a little more uptown, but they do have a lot of good stuff in there. But and that's one thing that I've always wanted to see, but I've never gotten the clearance to do it. But I do want to see like the areas of the old woolen mill that like people have, like, people can't go in, or like I mean, there's like a couple of spots where they keep everything like locked off. I wonder what it would take to get permission to check that part of the old woolen mill out. Maybe a future thought for another day. But anyhow. Heck yeah. So I mean, if anybody, like I said, if anybody's got some interesting stories, interesting ghost stories from Delana, I want to. Gosh, let me look that one because I want to say I think I heard of the Delana. Let me look up. Let's see, Dahlonega Antique Store, Dahlonega. And let me get back on here. And you said it was like Gwen. Like, do you have the name of it? Because I mean, it looks like there's a couple, but if it's on Main Street, see, there's Gateway, Antiques and Collectibles, Reclaimed Rose, and Vintage Antiques. Oh, that's on North. That's North Grove Street. But there are some things in Dahlonega that I do want to see because that's where that's where they found gold, and that's kind of what going east from downtown. Okay. Okay, I've got the page saved. But yeah, Dahlonega, it's like, where they found gold. And anyway, they say that's one, one of the big things that led or what began that snowball, in the Trail of Tears because they found uh, they found gold in Dahlonega, big resource, but it was in the Cherokee Nation, and that was not good. But speaking of Native American stuff, there is something that I've always wanted to see, but that's another, like, because that's one of the things that Bradley County is known for, is it's the rhinestone belt buckle of the Bible Belt, and there are some interesting stories, associated with like, for example, I mean, Perry Stone's church is, his church is in here in Bradley County, or maybe another one like how actually, that might be a good topic. Billy Graham, because he went to Lee University for I think it was a semester, but I want to say that he worked in a shoe store in downtown Cleveland. I might be wrong about that, but I don't know if it would be anything or if it would still be, if it's still even there. But speaking of Bradley County stuff, there is one thing that I found out the other day, and it happened in 1971. It was 1971, but there was like a big fire that broke out in downtown. I'd like to do a little bit of digging on that because I think that'd be an interesting tale or interesting history. And actually, Gwen, it came up in my mind the other day, but I know Dee had mentioned it to me, and I don't know. I don't know why I didn't follow through. I think I just got bogged down with stuff. But the anyway, it's like when that one lawyer. Granted, this was like I think 1910s, somewhere around there. But there was a lawyer who it's like between a lawyer and somebody, but somebody had offed. Anyway, I need to. But anyway, like the whole thing is they couldn't bury the guy in Bradley County because the people hated this guy so much. I don't know. I'll have to. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things. Yeah, and that's one thing that I have thought about that is in the surrounding areas, but maybe doing a video on some abandoned churches. But granted, I don't know. It's like I don't know. That'd be one thing that I'd have to probably get permission to, because I don't know. Some day or there is one church, and I want to say it's in Calhoun, But they have like a area, like a baptism spring where they'd take people and they'd baptize them. And this church is old, but I don't know, that'd be an interesting topic. Ugh. Yep, that's actually what I did, Gwen. Speaking of the topic, that's where I came back from today. Like that's a lot of like what a lot of people don't know is they see that abandoned church out there in the Harrison area, or but it's like the Dolly Pond Church of God with signs following. The act like I don't know if like that one was. I imagine it was an incarnation of the one that people are familiar with, but the original church sat where a Church of God of Prophecy building once stood, and the cemetery is still there. And what a lot of people don't know, there is actually a victim of snake handling that's buried up there. And it I don't know if it was the Cleveland Daily Banner that did a story on it or the Chattanooga Times Free Press, but there is a story that was done by a paper from the area that talked about. I believe he was a truck driver, but he was also a lay minister, lay preacher from that church. But anyway, like I said, there is like I want to say that there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say that there. I heard somewhere through the grapevine that Cleveland had a snake handling church at one time. Oh, like where the church now. Anyway, but I don't know. That's going to be a an interesting video. I mean, I've got to actually. I'm gonna film a little bit of props or a little bit of B-roll with this. I've had this since I was in high school, but it's a taxidermied rattlesnake. And the whole thing with George Went Hensley, that is how in his faith, when he had the his life changing conversion, he went up to a hill for spiritual guidance, and next thing he knows, there's a big giant snake that he's confronted with. And at least the story that I heard, he got down, prayed, took the snake back with him, and challenged the congregation, if challenged them to hold the snake. Like I said, I think that's how the story went, or at least from what I've understood in researching it. But yeah, like when I first heard about that, I thought that I thought that it actually originated in somewhere in Kentucky or West Virginia, but no, it actually originated here in East Tennessee. I did not know that. But anyway, that's going to be an interesting video for when that comes out. Really? I did not know that, Gwen. Let me let me look that up. So that way I've got it saved on Google. So that might actually be a pretty good video topic. The apostle. Huh. Okay then. Again, it's one of those things, people say that, it's like Cleveland, there's not much to do in Cleveland, but no, if you actually dig, you will find out a crap ton of stuff. Okay, I've got that I've got that saved in on my saved on Google and bookmarked. But three people, they're like, "Oh no, Chet, you're getting boring." No, just joking. But I don't know. I might go. I thought about like going on this live for maybe about 2 hours, maybe. Because last week I went for about an hour, and you know what? I thought I could go a little bit more, but I mean I kind of like how like I've been saying like so far like the most amount of people that have of you guys that have chimed in has been around nine people. Thank you all. That means a lot. But anyway, as like I said, if anybody's got any interesting stories or anything, or in the comments or anything like that, I mean, I'm on here and I'm just having a good old dandy time. Dandy. Oh, I saw like 100%. Another 100%. Anyway, yes. That's fast. It's fascinating. There we go. But anyway, like I said, this is something I want to keep doing in the near future. I know the other night, Amy, I just saw that. I just remember her name by Amy. Um, right, I forget like what the name. I mean, I've got it saved on my computer, but it is a silver. I think it was a silver mine out in Kentucky. Because actually that's when the topic that I was talking about, uh, doing my birthday road trip in Kentucky. Um, that she brought it up. I think I will have to go back and look at that. But that's another thing too. Like I, I said it in the last live stream, but Kentucky is a very underrated state. Like they're kind of like West Virginia. When people hear it, they're like, "Oh, there's nothing to do there." But no, I mean, it's like there's a lot of cool stuff. Or at least if you like ecotourism, like I guess it's more nature based. I guess. But anyway, yeah. I mean, that's kind of something I thought. You know, actually, oh yes, I know. Sorry, I know what you're talking about. The when I made that of my friend Matt and Blasted Machines Tech Shop, there was a friend of mine who did help me with the equipment. Actually, Gwen, I know you've got a bit of equipment. Maybe I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of hard to because it was shot on a Sony 7A. Now they're like that's what I would like to do to have more features because I do eventually like just because I know, or at least as of right now, YouTube's been kind of a dud. I would like to have like a job that or a career that I went to school for. You know what I mean? That's been 8 years, 8 whole years. But I don't know. But I do want to do more features because there's a lot of interesting people here in the Bradley County area and even in Chattanooga. Um, but that is going to be another. Like I said, I want to make more because I mean, I do like the high quality product or finished product that it turned into. But I don't know. I feel like I'm just in a weird spot right now. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, or at least from my understanding, it's like usually things happen when you're in like a really weird spot, where you're you're doing stuff, but it feels like it's just you're being met with a wall. Maybe my time is coming soon. Maybe, but I mean, Adobe Premiere. Actually, I might because I mean, I did get a Canva account. I know that was only $18 a month, but maybe I can go to having going on to a Adobe Premiere. But I mean, I've been using DaVinci Resolve, but I need to back to it because I mean, I do like Adobe more than anything or Adobe Premiere. That's what I really got my first work or first experience with editing videos. All right. Well, Gwen, I'll get I'll get back to you probably after the live stream on that. But because like I said, it runs a bit more smoother. DaVinci Resolve, for those who are, I guess, video inclined, DaVinci Resolve, at least in my opinion, it is so well. I've got the free one, but it is so laggy. But I don't know if it's because I'm running a different. Because I want to say maybe it's the software that's in my computer. Because I know when I tried editing in 4K, it's like things got like super slow, like me almost rage quitting slow. But yeah, I mean, I need to get back on because I mean, financially, I mean, I'm okay at the moment, but I don't know. There is actually one oh, excuse me. There is one like video that I do want to do, and it's circulated around the abandoned trains of Louisiana. I know that's a an interesting video topic for another day, but that will be sometime in the future. But and speaking of, I keep having a lot of those brain farts. That's not good. But anyway, like I said, if anybody's got any questions or anything, or I mean, I know Gwen. I mean, you like I said. I mean, keeping the conversation going. Thank you. But anyway, but there was something I was going to talk about, but I lost my train of thought. Oh well. All right. Well, Miller four, gosh, Miller 4892. There we go. Well, anyway, thanks for chiming in. Actually, thank you everybody that's been chiming in and tuning in to my live stream. Yes, like I said, that only gets worse. Wait, what only gets worse? Anyway, it may have been. Anyway, I know Jason, Jay, you just popped in. Oh yeah, okay then. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it sucks. I don't know. I want to say somewhere that I heard like one time it's the other day, but didn't want to be. Eh. I mean, well, I mean, just holler. I know people. Actually, the other day, I, I can't. Anyway, but there was one guy that he was at City Cafe, and he said, I watched that guy on YouTube." And I mean, I think I talked to him for a brief second. But if you see me, I mean, feel free to talk. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, like I said, I mean, I try to be congenial. Except, well, I don't know. Everybody's got their bad days, but anyway, I mean, I generally keep that part of myself to. I keep that part of myself to myself. That doesn't make much sense, but anyway, I mean, everybody's kind of got anyway. Like I said, if you see me out on the streets, I mean, or feel free to talk. I mean, I'm no stranger to to not talking. And I put myself out here all the time. But the gas sta wait, which gas station was it? Um, I mean, and that's another thing too. I mean, Polk County, I mean, people think that there's not a whole lot in Polk County, but no, no, there is also a lot of, at least like the copper mines in copper mines up in the Copper Basin area or the ghost towns like Caney Creek. I might do an update video on Caney Creek just because when when I made that video forever ago, that's when I was kind of worried about tripping on my words, and that's when people thought, why is he talking like William Shatner? Well, that's the reason why I was talking like William Shatner at that time is because I just didn't know, because I didn't want to trip on my words. But racetrack, oh, okay, yeah, 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 yeah. I think I know that one. But anyway, anyhow, yes. Now, is there anywhere like is there like anywhere like people like I mean, I know when you chimed in, you talked about doing some of the church history around the area, and I can't remember. There was somebody else, but I'm having a senior moment. I can't quite remember which one you guys. Anyway, again, lost that train of thought. All right, all right. Well, Gwen, I'll get in touch with you on probably sometime tomorrow or the day after. But we do need to do a follow up on the discussion. But actually, there is one thing that I'd like to do. I've already done it, but I just wonder, like, how because at least I mean, this might be somewhat have some legal repercussions, but for those who know the story, about how during the flood, I think it was a 100-year flood in 1867, and that's when the train collapsed in Charleston. I tried magnet fishing beneath the train bridge, but I didn't find anything. But it's mainly because under that bridge, it's about 40, 50 feet deep. And I was like, I wonder, like, if you could magnet fish, I wonder if you could, like, find anything. And that's why I say maybe there's some kind of repercussion there just because it's over 100 years old, or it would be, depending on what comes off the river floor. But actually, speaking about that, now this is something that I will be doing over the summer. But for those who are familiar with Hell's Bar Dam, you know, um, Hell's Bar Dam before it got blown up. It used to be a town. The town, or they called it the Guild. And like if you look at like old pictures during the dam's construction, you'll see all of that. I kind of wonder, what if you magnet fish like up close to Hell's Bar Dam? I don't know. But again, it's one of those thoughts. You just kind of wonder what would come off the river or the river bottom. But anyway, like I said, does anybody have any good ghost stories from the Bradley County area? I talked about it like in the very beginning of the live stream, but kind of going forward, I'd like to maybe set up a topic about to talk about during the live streams. Keeps things going, that way it's not like I don't know. It's always interesting to hear people chime in. But, I have done some of that. Now there is actually one place that I've wanted to do it. Speaking of fossils and stuff, but I want to say it's in Arcadia, Florida. I think it's in Arcade. Anyway, but you can pay like $80 a day, and they'll take you. I think it's the Black River, but they take you on the river. You can find fossils. People can find or found mastodon bones, megalodon teeth. Although finding like a good megalodon tooth, I don't know. Yeah, sure. I mean, you see them like in fossil stores and stuff, but apparently they are they're kind of hard to find like completely intact, and I think that's why they go upwards of like 120 to $140 for a small one. But yeah, I mean, that's something that I would like to do or more of. Um, but yeah, that is something I do. Now, I want to say that there was even one that I saw in South Carolina, but I don't know a whole lot about that one. 3 hours from us in South Carolina. Wait, is it the Sheffield mine? Probably not, because I know the Sheffield mine in Franklin, North Carolina. Actually, well, that one was featured on the Travel Channel, but that was like early 2000s. I think what got me interested in it is like some kid found like a $5,000 ruby, but you know what? I mean, that's kind of an interesting like that's the thing. I mean, speaking of like finding fossils in the creek, you know, I'm kind of surprised. Like speaking of that, like this may be a different reason, but like Mouse Creek, that runs, through all of Cleveland. I'm surprised that I've never found any fossils in there. That is one thing that I'm kind of surprised. But that is something because speaking of finding fossils and stuff, this is when I was still in high school, but my stepfather's mother lived in Collegedale, Collegedale, Tennessee, and like the creek that ran beside her house. I mean, you could find a crap ton of fossils, but I don't know. I mean, I've heard along the Hiwassee River, I mean, you can find stuff, but I don't know. Maybe trying Polk County or one of those areas. Maybe I'd have some interesting experience or an interesting experience. Speaking of that, like, but I don't know. That's an interesting. You know, fossil hunting. Oh, actually, speaking of fossil hunting, I saw this. It was a video of a guy in Mississippi, but he was finding these big, giant ammonite fossils. That would be. I mean, I imagine it would be a pain to pull out of the forest, but it would be so cool to have. But anyhow, 5 whole people, 6 whole people. But yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I know people have kind of slowed down a little bit. Maybe I'll end it in about mm, maybe around an hour and 30 minutes in. But yeah, County Ramp Tramp. I have never heard of that before. Let me look that up. Ramp Tramp. Ramp Tramp. That sounds actually like a fascinating. Okay, 1 second. Polk County Ramp Tramp. Polk County Ramp Tramp Festival. Oh, out in Reliance. Okay. Started in 1958 by the four members of a. Okay, then I am going to put that and save that. There we go. Speaking of Polk County stuff, you all like have like a lot of interesting Bigfoot stuff that never really ever gets covered. Like in my second book, Ghosts and Mysteries of the Southern Cherokee National Forest, there was somebody, I, I forget her name, but I credited her in my book, but I think it was off of Welcome Valley Road or maybe that area, but they found like these trees had been like as if something with these big giant hands just went and snapped it. Um, and there's another, at least another account that there is another account that there was a friend of mine. I haven't kept up with the other guy too much, but they heard growling and stuff like outside of his trailer, like, and it wasn't human. At least that's what I've heard about festivities. But well, you know what? I'll put that on my list of things. Speaking of Polk County and stuff, I saw that I don't know who his name is, but I know like in downtown Benton there was that one house that was just collapsed in on itself. And anyway, I don't know, that thing kind of looked kind of sketchy. But anyhow, but yeah, I'm gonna look that up. The Ramp Tramp Festival. Well, I mean, I've got it saved here on my computer. See when. Let me see when that happens. Maybe I'll see Ramp Tramp Festival. Ooh, okay, that looks pretty darn cool. You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of gosh, what is it? Um, they do it out at Prater's Mill, the Prater's Mill Fall Festival. It kind of puts off those kind of vibes. But I'm gonna check that out then. I've got, like I said, I've got it saved on my laptop. It's going to be a very interesting. Like I said, thank you all for the ideas. It gives me an idea of what people. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like maybe I'm not going in the right direction with my channel, but yeah, I've got that now. I mean, I've got the festival. There we go. Teleco Trout. Ooh, is that where they actually they? I think I. Let me look. The Teleco Trout Festival. Trout Festival. Okay, that is cool. That is awesome. You know, there's actually an interesting story how trout came to this area. I forget who told me the story, but gosh, the Prater's Mill. I did a video on it back in October. There were so many people. Ugh. But it's kind of like going inside a Walmart. But won't go. But anyway, to go back to the how I guess how trout and trout fishing came to this area. From what the story that I remember, it's like they came in like via train car. Like this is forever ago, but what they'd have to do is they'd have to stir up the water to have like the oxygen or keep the water oxygenated. It's an interesting. Maybe I can talk about that at the trout festival. Maybe that'd be a good tie-in. But one thing that I'd kind of like to do a little bit more of, and I know, speaking of like antique stores and stuff, I don't know. There is one in Georgia somewhere that's been under my radar that looks really, really interesting. By the way, you can find a heck of a lot of interesting things at an antique store. I don't think I don't know. It's such an interesting thing to see all these weird knickknacks from the past in an antique store. Ugh. Mm. I had to stretch there. Mm. Okay. Well, I don't know. I had this thought, but speaking of that area, or at least in because I know like there's a point where Polk County, breaks off into McKaysville, Georgia. But that's one of the things that I thought about maybe doing is doing another like a tubing video because I saw that like in the McKaysville, Georgia area or McKaysville, Copper Hill area, you can rent inner tubes. I might make a vid. Maybe I could bring some friends in on that just to make it an interesting watch. Because y'all know I did a video on the new river in North Carolina, and that was a very painful experience, like physically. Like, if y'all want to see like an interesting video, like a very funny, interesting video, then tubing the second oldest river in the world and failing at it, it's I think if you like, I put chapters on it if people wanted to watch it, but maybe maybe two, maybe I can. Well, I don't know. I know the Hiwassee is kind of sketchy in some areas. Maybe I could do a kayaking video of that, but I don't know. But anyway, guys, yeah, I will probably end this live stream in about 2 minutes. Sounds like everybody's kind of chiming out for the night. But anyway, like I said, I'm glad that a lot of you guys showed up. It means a lot. Makes me know that my channel is not at death's door, I guess you could say. But oh, no problem. Like I said, I mean, I'll put it out as a poll here on YouTube, and I'll also put it on my Instagram and my Facebook page and account. It's like, I mean, like I said, if there's like a topic that y'all want to talk about, like I said, I've had this for like 2 years. Feel free to. So I think it'd be interesting to hear people's stories and whatnot. But actually, you know what? Maybe that would be an interesting one. Okay, for who all remembers? I mean, I know a few people from Bolton County would probably remember it too, but the Bradley County Survival Guide. Who all remembers that? I mean, I know that they had to get rid of it at some point, but my gosh, that Facebook page was just total satire of my hometown. I don't know. I mean, I imagine there's some funny stories that I've heard from from the Cleveland Bradley County area that just makes you want to scream. I've heard stories. Anyway, But all right, you guys, as things are drawing to a close, like I said, stay tuned. I'll probably do this again next Tuesday at same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But anyway, guys, I'm calling it a night. Peace out, y'all.